Yo, 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 we are back for the last day of this week. Welcome back, guys. It is Thursday evening, and we will be starting this analysis very soon. Hope everybody had a good day. Hope everybody was at DonVo stream earlier today. Very useful stream, right? Very insightful. And hope you guys learned something about it. You screwed up today? No, that's alright. We have days where we screw up. And that's why, that's why some of us are here, right? We're here to learn. If we're here to learn, I think actually the majority of the people who come onto this stream are here to learn, which is a very good thing. Because you can't physically trade that much during the session, right? So if you're here, you are actually here for education. And that says a lot about you. Like, you've made it here, and all the other people who haven't made it here, there's a high percentage chance that they're only here, or they only look at the streams to copy trades. You guys are here to actually learn, develop your own trading, right? And that's amazing. Oh, you entered a trade on your phone and it crashed. Yeah, maybe it's time to get a new phone, brother. For the sake of trading, right? First stream on for Evolution. Yeah, welcome. EvolutionDVS is like a drug, man. Oh, Bit Me Some is here first. Welcome. Wait, we won. Welcome back, everyone. Never again on phone? Yeah, man. Thing is, trading on a phone is fine. It's just like, there's always like, if you're like below 5% battery or like 10%, it's like, I'm like kind of scared, but I see my position. What do I do? And you kind of just have to miss your position. That's right. There's always a second setup, right? There's always more entries later on. How's my day? That's pretty good. Had some pretty decent positions. I think with the new way that I'm kind of trading now, it's going to be relatively rare to have like multiple setups in a day. But we had some pretty good setups today, not gonna lie. Price moved very well today, especially because we had that position off the news. Actually had two positions off the news, and then another one like kind of as we left stream, kind of just no, yeah, pretty good price action in general. We had like positions up here, we had positions down here. It was pretty nice. I am lagging, brother. When I move to I'm moving into a new place, maybe in a couple months' time. And when I do, I'm gonna get myself a desktop, man. Like I can't continue to trade with this amount of lag. Thing is, I only get this lag during like the actual breakdown and analysis. It's because like I have to have like Zoom open, I have to have like OBS open, a bunch of stuff, right? Yeah, let me turn the music down real quick. Sorry about that. But welcome back. Man, it feels good to be trading again. Feels good to be able to look at the charts once again. Right, guys, I'm gonna get started. We have 30 people here, right? We don't want to keep 30 students waiting in a classroom, right? So let us begin. Let's just firstly talk about what positions we potentially had today, right? So throughout the day, we had the daily come up first, right? The daily came up first. We had no bottom wick, right? After this, we kind of just started pushing up. Fine, that's all good, right? Started pushing up. Then for news, we came up. So let's just look at the overall structure first, right? For news, we came up, and then we started to be bearish, right? We understood that from the daily yesterday. I was very bearish for the daily. Understand that we're very likely to tap into 2016, right? Because that's the kind of remaining range that you have. But we didn't know again how much that top wick was going to be, so you couldn't really take those wick entry styles to come down, right? What you could have taken is potentially if price started flipping bearish on the daily and then had some potential closures, right? Because even if it flips bearish on the daily, is that going to be, price on like is price actually going to flip bearish, or is it just flipping bearish to grab liquidity to continue going up, right? So we needed some more confirmations after that, but we got those confirmations, which was quite nice. But on the 4 hour, the overall structure was kind of just like this, right? Came up, came down, right? And now you come back up. So we don't know what this is in terms of the actual overall movement of price at the moment, but just off of the 4 hour, this could be a lower high for us to continue ripping down for tomorrow, and maybe this is the retracement for the weekly candle, and so on, right? But let's kind of go into some more detail, maybe on 30. So price kind of just pushed up, right? Last night, and like during Asian, we just started pushing up. Then we started consolidating in this area, which is good because it means that price is struggling to break this high and also hasn't kind of gone anywhere yet. So if it does want to go up, you'd expect, a liquidity grab. You know, if you're consolidating in this area, you're expecting a liquidity grab before you're able to go up. But in price's case, right, we actually consolidated, came up first, and then broke the lows, right? So there's a higher chance that this was the liquidity grab we were looking for price to retest those lows at 2016, right? Because that's our daily goal. And what was even better is we had this closure. I think we were entering on the 15, but we had a 15 closure, which was extremely bearish after breaking all of these highs towards 2044, which was, the last 3, 4 days worth of highs. Look at this candle, right? This candle broke all of these highs here. So that's fantastic, right? As that's happening and as we're closing back into this range, you had a range fill to come down. You broke below some of these areas, I think the 5 as well, afterwards, but you kind of came back into this range, understood that you had this massive wick to fill due to news. So there was a high chance that price, after creating this top wick, was going to continue, coming down because you had that overall daily flip towards around 2024, right? As price came down, you nearly flipped the daily, but the overall momentum we could have definitely seen was bearish, right? Because we tried to go up. If it wanted to go up, this rejection would have started pushing us up, and it'd be difficult because if price actually really wants to go up, there's a high chance that you're probably going to respect somewhere like this, right? These sorts of areas, and then you start retesting those highs at 2039, and your candle overall structure could more likely, right, be as it was printing, let's say it was bearish but respecting, right, this area with a massive top wick. If that is not a wick, that is a body. So if it looks something like this, right, in terms of the actual candle, because it came down to these areas, but if it respected this level, it would likely come down first and then go back up, right? And that would be a retest of those highs. But what happened to price, right? We saw here that it broke below this level, right? So there was range down to fill around 2028, potentially down towards 2024, towards that kind of weekly, that daily flip. And as that's happening, right, your 15 and your 5 came up first, right? So you came up first for a top wick, I think after kind of struggled around these areas, but your 15 had no bottom wick. We took the top wick entry to continue down towards the bottom of the range because you also started to consolidate in this area, right? This area. So you were kind of respecting this. So if you broke all the highs, high chances of more liquidity for us to continue down, right? So we took some of those positions, and I think yesterday we mentioned that below 2024, you have pretty clean range to come down to 2016. You could hold at least till 2020, and probably down towards 2016. I think I got an entry around here, but it was pushing so quickly. You didn't get a 5 closure, but I got a 1 minute flip as it came down. So had this 1 minute closure here, wick here. So I put a sell stop here, and it just I think this thing just dropped like 30 pips, 37 pips immediately, like within 2 seconds. So that was the position. But I guess that was it. And then I think Don had another position here in the signals, but yeah, we entered, and I think we had a pineapple closed out +10. So dubs all round. Right, cool. Enough of that shit, right? Let's get to the analysis for tomorrow. Obviously, we have now pushed back up, but let's see where we are. So again, monthly, not much of a difference overall. We're still in this range. There's a high chance that because we're still in this range, price is going to continue down to fill the rest of the range towards 1988, 1991 sorts of areas. I think that was the overall bottom of the range for us, right? So as price flipped bearish after that news push up, there's a high chance that you're going to continue down for tomorrow's candle, right? Just because you've grabbed liquidity, if you want to push, you're going to push. But we have that retracement coming down. Maybe that's just the weekly leaving us with a bottom wick, right? We have 1 day left of the weekly, so we'll see, we'll see. But this is the overall range, which is completely fine. Um, and as that's happening, right, we're gonna need this monthly candle to close, either respecting here, breaking below, or if it's gonna flip to come up. Anything can happen still. We're only 11 days into the monthly, and you have a lot more time, right? So monthly is still the same. Weekly, right? Gonna move this up to here. We have tapped the weekly bottom of the range. I think we've come down to create an even steeper bottom wick, right? And that could be liquidity for us to continue back up to flip on the weekly and potentially retest 2074. We do have, I think, PPI tomorrow in terms of news, which could, flip the weekly still. Because news events, as we kind of saw today, they're very volatile. You get a lot of volume in a very short amount of time, and it can still definitely flip the weekly candle and start retesting. And we could end up closing bullish actually for this week, somewhat like this, right, where we have some small top wick, but a bottom wick that looks like this. And if price is looking like this, what's your next move? You're probably going to fill the range, right? And once you fill this range, are you going to get a breakout, or are you going to, just close somewhat like this? You may need a bottom wick before you're able to break out. All right, so there's a lot of stuff that can happen overall. But again, we have to wait for the weekly candle to close, and that's in 2 days' time. Well, that's after tomorrow, so in around 24 hours, right? And so, the weekly, we've come down to fill the range. We don't really know where price wants to go, so just wait for the weekly, right? So that's completely fine. Daily. Daily is interesting. Daily is very interesting. Why? Because we've now closed bullish. I mean, unless the last couple of minutes of the daily candle suddenly decide to close extremely bearish, we're probably going to close like this, right? And what does this indicate? We have an overall range. Let's say the top of the range is going to be, I'm just going to put it here, right? You have a top of the range at around 2046, right? All of this stuff, you could say you have like a bottom of the range around here as well, a top of the range around here as well. You could, right? And there probably is some sort of range there. And we'll see on the smaller time frame, but just off of the daily, right? It's around 2046. You're still in this range. You tapped basically the top of the range, and now you're closing like this, right? Overall, I would say you're just in the range. If you say you're closing respecting this, cool. You may get some liquidity grab, further below these areas, right? Because I'm seeing that last time price grabbed down to these areas before you're able to, make some sort of move. So maybe that is the area price needs to tap to grab the liquidity before we start reversing. But overall, we have tapped highs, we have tapped the lows, we broke the lows for, what was this, Monday, right? So if you wanted to start driving up, you definitely could, right? But this overall closure, I would say you're just in this range. So what are you expecting? Now that you've tapped the top and you've tapped the bottom, we don't know. So wait. So currently on the daily and the weekly, there's no direction. And because there's no direction, it makes it slightly more difficult to trade. And you also have a news event tomorrow. So we don't know where price is going to go, right? Just based off the daily and just based off the weekly, right? We might get some direction on the smaller time frame. Overall, our goal yesterday was very clear. We had a clear goal down towards 2016, right? So we were looking for sales to come down. Today, I don't actually have a goal. Um, and that's completely fine. Like there are days where the market will not present itself to you, and a lot of the times that is pre-Asian, right? Where you have essentially less direction because prices kind of just consolidated somewhere, or the move has already happened during New York, and now it's kind of just prepping itself through Asia, through London for another move in New York session due to the volume, right? So just jumping towards the 4 hour overall range, I would say is here. You do have a bottomless range at 2016. You did fill the range, and now you've rejected very heavily, right? Um, at the moment, I don't know if this is a fake out to come back up to start re-breaking the highs of 2047 for us to continue up. But this is a very strong rejection, right? Similar to these, to be honest, though, because this on the lower time frame, right? Maybe the 1 hour, maybe the 30. It's probably also a fake out that looks like this. But for something this aggressive, right, to form, is definitely a sign that we don't actually have true direction yet. Tomorrow is not a holiday, man. Like you have news event, right? You should get a push, right? Just don't know which direction yet. But the 4 hour currently is not telling me too much. We were expecting, as you were breaking these daily lows around these areas, to get clean traffic towards around 2010. I think that was the overall direction that Don and I were kind of looking for, anyways. But you didn't get that, so it shows that you probably need more liquidity. Last time you were able to push down all the way past 2010 to continue down, you grabbed liquidity again towards around 2039, right? Around these areas. So is that where you're heading next, right? Are you coming back up to these areas? And then once you get closures back below 2012, 2013, you probably have pretty good clean traffic to come down and runners potentially towards 1996, right? So just based off the 4 hour, it's suddenly got slightly more, I like kind of an overall picture of, maybe on the daily, on the weekly, we don't really see where price is going, but on the smaller time frame, we get more details, right? We're seeing that price wants to break. You've created a lower low, and this could just be a rejection either to grab more liquidity before we're able to come down, or the beginning of a rejection, right? And if the market wants to start printing bullish in the future, what do we need to see, right? We're going to need to see a break of lows, grab liquidity to come back up, right? And when price gets back up to these areas, right, towards around 2036, 2039, that's when price will likely, even if it wants to go up, right, it'll need to retrace before going up. So this move could either be, right, this retracement to go back up, or it could be the form of the next lower high to come back down, right? But overall, we can't tell, right? And at the moment, you really can't take a sell at 2039, especially after you rejected so hard here. And also, technically, you can say this is a higher high, right? And this could be liquidity for us to start re-breaking these highs. So suddenly you have kind of both sides of the kind of picture. You don't really know what's going on, which is why at the moment there really isn't a bias. Like for tomorrow's candle, I would say you're generally more bullish because you did come down towards the end of the session. Now you're pushing up, so there is a higher chance that you're gonna fill the range towards at least around 2031, which is only like 20 pips away, but potentially towards around this 2039 level. But after it does that, not too sure where it's gonna go, right? Even on the 1 hour or whatever, it's difficult to say. You have kind of a bottom of your range, say around these areas, right? Around 2024. Um, and as you're printing back above this area. Last time that happened, right? You had this, you pushed up towards 2034. These areas you pushed up all the way towards 2039. This one you pushed up towards around 2034. So you probably have this range to fill up to 2034 at least, right? But doesn't mean I can just take that, right? If your daily prints with, if the daily opens up with a bottom wick first, potentially breaking some of these lows in this sort of area range here, ideally it taps into 2012 sorts of areas, and then comes back up, then cool, yeah, I can take the buys, right? And at that point, that will be the daily flip because the daily will have come down first from these areas, grab that bottom wick, and then if it flips, yeah, cool. I'll look for the buys to continue up, and my break-even point will be towards the top of this range here, right? But that's the only way I can get buys because I need it to break some lows, at least these lows here, I would say, just to confirm to me that we're not actually going to continue driving down. But that is in general at the moment. I would say the only position I can really see. If you do get sells to continue down, if you get a breakout below here, again, it's going to depend on how the daily is going to open up and how it's going to continue to print throughout Asian and London. Because if price kind of just comes up first, so let's say you get some bullish candles, right? And then you do something like this where you have small bottom wick, but you have a bottom wick, and it starts printing like this, and you get a breakout above 39. What I'm looking for is probably buys, but I'll need the bottom wick, right? At this point, I'll probably need a bottom wick not all the way down to these areas, probably somewhere around these areas around 2020. And then if we flip, cool. And why 2020? Because I'm looking at these sorts of areas for liquidity to continue up, right? But in the other case where we're looking for sells, you can potentially say that, okay, if price starts rejecting here, right? We get this closure here, then you get a bearish closure showing that we found resistance, right? If that's what's happening, what I'll need to get sells potentially to come back down to 2024 is a break of these highs and then a flip. And if we can get that, that'd be great. But also be careful because we've been in this overall range for the last what couple days. Not this range, but overall this kind of daily range from like these areas, right? To these areas. We've been in this kind of 16th, like this 300 pip range for the last, well, since January, since the first kind of day of the year, right? And when we're going to get this kind of breakout below with an actual push to go down, we're worried that if you do continue down, you may just mirror this traffic down. Or if you want to continue up, you also have clean traffic here, right? Towards around 2063. This sort of area, this wick here, and also the clean traffic on this side. Last time you broke these levels here after grabbing liquidity, you also just started pushing straight up, right? So, we have clean traffic above and below. So, if you're thinking about, oh yeah, like I want to make some money tomorrow, just think about it this way. If you're trading this range here, it's slightly more difficult to trade. Why don't you actually wait for the confirmed breakout after direction above or below this range? And you have some really clean, like how much is this in terms of pips? Let me just have a look. This from here to here, that's like 150 pips, right? Below here, like you have at least an advantage point, which is 50 pips, and then down towards your next kind of support, 180 pips. There's so many clean ranges above and below, right? So if you're planning on trading this range, cool. Wait for your confirmations. Wait for everything to align, right? If not, wait for breakouts plus direction, and then after that, we can look to trade these ranges above and below. But cool. That's basically the analysis. Very unbiased tomorrow. I would say can go up, can go down because you've filled the ranges, right? The weekly has done what it needs to do. It's come down. If price pushes up, right, you could end up flipping bullish for the weekly, and if it does, it's still difficult to get those buys on the weekly flip to continue up. Why? Because at any given point, right, this could just be, but it is the last day of the week, right? So if you do get a push, what's to say that that's not just gonna, let's say you start pushing bullish, right, all the way up, but then you might retrace to leave a top wick for the weekly, and you might close end up like this. And if that's the case, you don't want to be stuck in a buy when you understand that Friday typically is the last it is the last day of the week, right? You typically get some sort of retracement, right? So either this is the retracement, or you may get a retracement if it starts flipping bullish, right? But yeah, that's basically it. And also, how this week is going to close in terms of the monthly candle is also very important, right? Because if it closes like this, it's actually pretty good because next week's candle, what we could do is price could come down first, tap break these lows at 2012 or 2010 or whatever. I know, actually 2014 or whatever it was, and then flip bullish. Then we have a clear direction, right? Once we tap into these sorts of ranges here, and then we start flipping bullish, we have a range to fill, right? The range is from around 2030 sorts of areas all the way up to 2074, right? And that's a fantastic range. I think that's 4,000 pips. Uh, is that 400? 400 or 4,000 pips? One of the two. But yeah, that's the analysis, guys. Just be careful tomorrow, right? You have news. Also, you don't really have too much of a direction. So just wait for the confirmations. But yeah, that's what I'll say for the overall analysis, and I'm gonna let the boys out.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm
Yo,
sitting here just fucking waiting for you as being on mute, forgetting that
yeah,
you know.
I'm not gonna ask anymore because I'm just gonna every time I say that I'm just gonna allow you guys all to unmute. You can just roam free.
I'm so used to hearing that and then fucking seeing the thing pop up on my screen.
Does it ask you to unmute or does it not?
Yeah,
Oh, it does.
for you, have you like has Don never like yeah when Don asked you on mute right? Like
Oh,
you
no,
never
no,
had
no,
to
no. As in, like, just now, did it say
no
the host is
no
asking?
no 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 no
Ah,
never
okay,
never.
okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, how you guys doing? I think Jacob and Jordan, we had a discussion earlier today, anyways. But
Yeah. But Johnny, how was your day? You wanna?
oh, am I interrupting a date? I'm sorry.
No, I was telling Johnny to go ahead and start it off. For...
Oh, okay. Little, cheeky asking how he's
My
doing.
my my question, I guess, is so this daily is closed bullish, right? Above like, can you argue there's like a level around 2028?
On what time frame? I guess if you look like very exactly, yeah, it's in between here, right? It's
Yeah,
in between this range. So it's difficult to say. Like if I'm just looking off the daily, I'm seeing you have like wicks here, you have like wicks here. So I mean, it could be somewhere around this area, right? That's it's difficult to say. Like just based off the daily, it's hard to say, right? But if you kind of start dropping down 2028, I mean, yeah, around these areas potentially might be something around here. Because typically, what I like
I guess
to
then
maybe 2029,
2029. Right.
but like yeah, I think this is the clearer one, right? 2029 8. But then you'll like yeah, like somewhere around these areas, maybe 2029. But yeah, like
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
just
mess.
trying to work out whether it's closed above a level or below a level.
Yeah, I think if it's unclear like that, just look at the bigger level, right? Just the overall range for the daily is just between 2046 and then like around 2018. So if that's your overall range, you've come up to fill the range, come down to fill the range, and like what's happened first, right? You've come up first and now you've coming back, you come down. So if you are closing back in this range, if this is a fake out, which is it doesn't really justify as a
I
fake
tried to
out.
avoid it as a double fake out, right?
Yeah, the thing is, like, you don't know if this is price printing bullish because if this is this might not be a fake out because you're overall bearish to come down. So this could just be a lower high. So is price going to fill up to
Yeah.
2045? It's difficult to say, right? But if it is, we can look to take price up only if we have a bottom wick, right? So if price starts doing something like this and then the next candle comes down, breaks some of those, and then we can get into those buys to go up. But that's the only way. Like it'd have to come down to at least like these areas, I'd say. Break like confirm that this is the daily low, and then as it's flipping again above here, then that's fine. Yeah, but that's what I'd like to. Well, that's what I need to see for a position. But I mean, I wasn't expecting price to do this. I was expecting a clear fill of the range towards 2012 at least, um, which I think was I based it off 15. My level was literally these here,
Mm.
like
The
this.
2012 one.
Yeah, like literally, yeah, 2012 0.92. Yeah, like literally this, right? Expecting that that's probably your next most likely resistance, and you've closed below to come down. But I guess there was something at 2014, and then you started rejecting pretty
I
hard.
actually have another thing at 2014 3.
Yeah, probably around here, right? 20, somewhere around these areas. So then you're looking into like very niche, small levels. Like maybe this wick here, right? This could have been a rejection around like here, 2014, 4, 6. Yeah, like yeah, so at any given point, any single level on like any rejection that you see on any time frame is a valid level, right? It's just the overall bigger picture was this was relatively unexpected, I would say.
Yeah,
This,
I was surprised when that hourly top wicked after the breakout, like
yeah,
big top wick, and then but then it just didn't.
didn't drive, right?
I mean, it took ages to flip, and then even once it flipped, it just didn't drive.
Just
If
trickled,
it
yeah.
if it made the top wick, and then if it flipped quickly and broken the lows again, I would have taken a sell.
Yeah. So I mean, this is also why like reading the candle is also kind of watching the candle print. Because like if it's really slow or whatever, it's like, well, there's no momentum, right? So it's difficult to take that trade. I think when we were on the call, I was like, yeah, like this hourly looks fantastic, right? You have a closure below on the hourly. You can easily fill it all the way down to 2012 at least and then 2010. But the issue is you're close to the end of the day, right? You have no volume left. Um, and like your 30, I think your previous 30 whatever like it started slowing down around these areas, or respecting around 2016. So but yeah, since '02 the US has carried over 400 strikes on Yellen. I love Yellen.
For the break of the lows entry I took, Elvis,
Hmm.
would that be considered a breakout and then entry previous current higher low?
Did you take it? Oh, which time frame was it again, remind me?
It would be break of previous higher low, right?
Yeah, if you're taking it below a wick, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have fucking
That's
brain
right.
dead mind.
Explains.
And then I had one more question about the journal. What was it?
Oh yeah.
I put a question mark. Yeah, I put a question mark. Um, Price action scenario. So for the after, did you expect an outcome play out after you close stop loss hit, but your price ran for another 20 pips? How do we measure that
Which column is this? Let me just.
for the price action scenario? So say you have a yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
have it here. I have it here. But price action scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like what did price do afterwards?
Yeah,
Essentially you can use
that's
that,
what
that
I'm
block.
asking. It sounds like so simple. Like, go ahead though.
No, but it's like you can use it a lot of different ways. The way is using it compared to how I'm using it is also slightly different. Um,
Okay.
but essentially like it's just how you want to use, like that's kind of a more tailored and personal part of the, like essentially how I'm using it is I'm looking at what happened to price after I closed off, right? Or like what is the next um kind of logical thing that price did, and like what would be my next kind of exit, or would it go back to break even, or like all of those things. So kind of just capturing like what would my next decision be if I didn't close.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for example, sometimes we close at 10 pips. I really want to know how far it ran. Or if it didn't, I want to know if it went back to break even so I can identify which kind of setups and entries typically print a break even trade and which setups and entries typically print, a runner. And then over time, I can just look over my kind of journal and be like, oh, okay. So I've just taken this specific setup and entry. There's like a 60% chance it's going to run, right? Or there's like an 80% chance it's going to hit break even. Then shit, I'm definitely going to close at 10 pips, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I'm using it.
I think I've been filling it in on like how far down price goes. I think like
What do you
if
mean?
that's how you use it, right?
Oh, for
If
the
you're in a
price
stop
action.
line, it comes up and taps your break even.
Yeah, like for example,
If
right?
it's not hit the original stop loss.
For example, I think we had like a 15. Let's say we had like a position here after news, right? Let's say we had that, and then we kind of closed off at like what on the flip of the 15 or like whatever towards around these areas. Cool, that's great. But where did price go? Right? Either you could have put it as, oh yeah, I was going to hit break even anyway, so kind of sad or whatever. But you could also say that price actually ran because you grabbed liquidity and your actual play was, maybe towards 2016, which is the um, daily target, right? So if that was the case, you could have said, TP hit for 160 pips, and then like,
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing, and then
yeah,
seeing where the stop needed to stay
yeah,
to
exactly.
take it
So
out.
for me, the stop, well, that's kind of how I'm using the stops, the very last column, right? So
Yeah,
I'm typically I put that as like, oh yeah, so this is definitely a 4 hour high because all of these candles have broke as well. So maybe even a daily high at that point. Um, but yeah,
I'm getting a lot of like 15 minutes.
there are a lot of them. Yeah. But the issue with those is like if you actually use like a 15-minute stop, like for example, right? This one is a 15-minute stop, but you have to think about how is that going to affect the way the journal represents the data, right? Because if you put that as a 15-minute stop and then you're trading one of these, then it makes sense to say 15, right? But in this case, you've actually broken all of these highs. So in a way, even 4 hour doesn't justify the stop. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I see your point now.
Yeah. But again, like the best we can
I'll have
do is
to
probably 4 hour.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can kind of, yeah. I mean, the journal can only do that much.
I mean, I think some of my early entries in this journal are not great.
I think it's fine because like over time, you'll see better ways of journaling, and then your journaling will only get better as well, and then the data will just improve. So I think that's fine. What I'd like to work on is eventually just something which attaches to your MT5, MT4, whatever, and it just journals automatically for you, and you just like add a couple things to it.
I like the setup and stuff.
Yeah, like just so for example, like time, date, how many pips, what pair it was, entry, closed positions, like half or whatever, all of those
Kind of
things.
like TradeZilla.
Yeah, kind of, but like, a DVS version of it.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
That does actually. Is there like a keyboard shortcut for closing half?
I think you can set that up, yeah. I don't really want to do that though, because I want to close manually. Because
I feel like we'll hit
I think as though it should be the same. Like it's just I don't really trust that one button, man. Like it's supposed to close and make me money.
it feels I don't know. It feels convoluted to go like right click the trade, go into modify, and then market execution, and then have to manually change the number.
Oh, but what I typically do is like go to close position and then I just keep the tab open and then like I just put in like half of the lot size and then I just wait till the close kind of like sits at the right level and I'm like okay close.
Okay, yeah.
And that typically it makes it relatively accurate for me. Like if I'm closing at 10 pips and I want to close exactly at 10 pips, then I just wait till it's like, oh yeah, I know for example like on a two lot, 10 pips is $200. So I know if I'm going to close, it'll be close one lot at 100 profit, and then I'll just close. So I know what I'm looking for. I think that's the only like reason to kind of look at the money side of things because sometimes if you're looking at like say like a five lot or whatever, how much money is 10 pips? Like that's the only
Like
thing I think.
500, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you just need to know that value, and once you know that, then closing at those points will it's like another value that you can associate with 10 pips or like a certain amount of pips. You just need to know the kind of multiplication for that 10 pips or that lot size. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically the analysis, guys. Any general questions, I guess?
Um, no questions, but again, it's just me being transparent, so I don't. But on my funded account, that one, the one with Nova, I took Dawn Signal, and then I didn't have enough space for Pineapple, so in my mind, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just kind of hope that it runs." And then now I'm in drawdown.
Oh, you're still in it.
Yeah,
That
I
can be
thought you
scary
closed
though.
break even.
I don't even remember. I think I just kind of forgot about it.
Oh fuck.
After I said that, I think it came back, and then I think I wasn't paying attention and forgot about it.
Ah
So
shit.
now I'm just wondering, should I just let it? I think I'm just gonna let it hit stops, which are at 2033, which is like the highs.
2033. Man, that is difficult.
Wait, how do you have enough space to run all the way up to 2033, but then didn't have enough space for a pineapple?
Because you can't. Because okay, so if I the way Nova works is if you place another like trade with the same lot, they'll think you're over risking or some. Basically, that's my theory, or some. Basically, that's what they're saying.
I mean, I took a pineapple in Nova. It was fine.
But are you? What are you like in your total risk? Because like they
Well, I'm
say
using
there's
a
a
two
limit
lot.
where you can if you can't. So with the two lot, you can't. You can your max risk would be a four lot if that's your if the two lot's your average trade size,
Yeah.
and then if you and then I think your the lowest lot size you could use would be 75% of that. So what's that? 0.
No, 25% of that, I think.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's 75%. So the lowest you could lose is the lowest you could use 0.5 and the most you could use is four lot. So I'm
Uh.
already using a three lot. So if I would have popped another three lot, they would have considered that as like me over risking, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So
Did you
for
not know? Did you not know about that?
no, no, I did, but I just knew that two lots and one pineapple is fine. I don't think you can take two pineapples.
Can you take on ACG? Can you take two pineapples?
Yeah, ACG is fine
Because it
as long
says
as
on
you
the
just go
article,
to
don't put a higher lot size.
yeah. So
But
basically,
I mean,
like
if you open two, if you're
if
trading
you
on
open two,
ACG
is
and
fine.
then open two more two lots,
Yeah, that's fine. I've done
do
that
they not
before.
read that as you just bending
Uh,
the rule and opening a four lot?
I think I don't. I think it's more to kind of prevent people from just like, like for example, they just continue to stack like a say they do like a point 0.5, then they do like a one, then two, then like a four or whatever, and then just kind of stack their way down, like whilst in drawdown. So like even if they retrace it a little bit, they can go all the way in profit because that's not like actual trading, and they want to like they're just finding ways to fuck you up. But I think Abuji previously I think he did that, and he kind of got fucked, but he got his account back after he did that. So I think they
Account back
flagged
what
it,
exactly? The
like
martingale stuff or just
yeah,
taking pineapples?
essentially the martingale. Like it wasn't really a martingale, so basically he just took a pineapple with the same lot size,
Yeah.
and then he somehow got fucked. Um, but yeah, but then he got his account back, so it's fine. Mo's got a drop. Yeah, see you, Mo.
Wait,
See you next week.
am I tripping or I could have took another pineapple? I don't think I could have, right? Because my risk would already been, yeah, with 100 pips on a three lot. It's because you can only lose, well, 4%, which is 8,000 on the 200K. Yeah, I don't think I could have, right?
Well, I mean, depends where your stops are, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. They, if I would, I think still, yeah, no,
Well, I think our stops were all the way up here, so yeah, or like 30, 33 or whatever, right?
yeah.
I think that was the stops around 33.
Well,
Um,
what I could have done is, if my risk was just lower, I could have risked 1.5, and then I could have took that second pineapple.
hmm,
And that's still, bro, that's still fair, right? Like, I feel like on a 200K account, like at least the way we're like that, I think it's not like I'm trying to like, I don't know. I feel like that's free money, right? Like, it's literally, it's nothing to try to,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, try to hit big on, because like realistically, I don't think you can like. I, I mean, obviously there's some traders who do it, but I think it's hard to milk funded.
yeah. No, for sure, because they're trying to fuck you up, right? see what
Huss is
YouTube.
pretty good at it, right?
Huss is
Yeah,
really good at,
definitely.
yeah. He's kind of like got the whole trading unfunded like down.
Bro came back from $4 away from
Yeah,
managing
how
loot.
what?
Yeah, that was
How did he
nuts.
manage that? Did he just like go
I guess he just had
really
a,
slowly, or just went, oh well, I may as well just
I have no idea, but I guess he definitely had one or two trades with like no drawdown at all, and then that
yeah.
probably saved him, right? Could you explain how to fill out a pineapple trade on the buff journal? So the pineapple is just another row. Just instead of normal, choose pineapple, and just literally fill it out as if it was a normal trade because there will probably be a separate setup and entry for that trade. Different time frames make sense, and it's basically a second trade essentially.
Okay, so what you guys do if you guys were in this position right now in the funder? Just let it hit stops or close it and
What
keep
do you mean?
going. I mean, either way,
If I was four dollars away,
huh?
yeah, as in like if I was in Huss's position, I was like $4 away.
No, I'm talking
No,
about
in his position, no.
on my fund. I think I'm in drawdown. I'm in drawdown $5,200, and the max drawdown is gonna be 8,000. Honestly, I
No,
don't even know if I could hold overnight. So
your max drawdown should be, oh, as in like for the daily limit.
yeah, no, like in terms of one single trade, yeah, like
Uh,
with a daily
yeah,
limit, yeah.
daily limit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what I would probably do if I were you is I'd probably close half,
Mhm.
right? So you like at least because you've missed this already, right? What I would do essentially is I'd probably close half, and like if the rest of the half hit stops, that's fine, right? At least you've saved your account that extra what 20, 30 pips at full risk. Because you know you've missed this, like the chance of it coming down, I think, is lower than it coming up first. Like for the last kind of like multiple days, like or like ever since I kind of started streaming pre-Asian, I've seen that the daily typically comes up first, even if it's like 10, 20 pips.
Mhm.
It always kind of gaps up first, and then it's like, okay, cool. Like if it's kind of come up first, and then it starts flipping down or whatever, it takes a while. But I'm worried you're gonna hit that stop level before it even starts coming down. So I probably just close half, to be honest. What I've typically been doing, if I'm in like heavy drawdown and I might not have enough room, I just close half at like specific levels after it breaks. Just as if like, when you close half in profit in areas where it's like, oh yeah, like it could reject around these areas. Close half in kind of drawdown when it doesn't really make too much sense as well.
Cool, cool, cool. Appreciate it.
No, that's right. Yeah, but we've all been there, man. Like,
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's good for me to ask you though to see like so I'm not like all in my mind about it, like so I can have a different perspective.
yeah, I mean, just definitely open up your mind to potentially closing half, or like when in drawdown, or like closing X percentage when in drawdown, because that gives you more flexibility for managing risk as well. It's just another thing to do. But yeah, sup, Gerald? How you doing?
Just woke up. But
Oh
how
yeah.
how does breaking of lows considered to be like a liquidity grab, and then
Oh yeah. So
potentially a flip?
essentially, like, I mean, let's try to find a place on the charts that explain this. Um, it's pretty good. So, I mean, like even all of this structure, right? You broke lows before going up. So, let's say you did a push. You had this here, this tiny bit of consolidation here, right? You broke lows afterwards, broke all of the lows for the last kind of couple of like day or two, and then started pushing up. Cool. You start consolidating here in this kind of zone here, right? Broke the lows and then started going up. In this case, consolidated around here, or you kind of consolidated here first. If you look at the short term, you came up before, right? You started coming up, but you weren't able to drive, right? Because you didn't grab that liquidity. So this ended up coming back into this range. Then you grab liquidity down and then start going up again, right? Just every single, like, look at this as well here. Consolidate, grab liquidity, up. Here you consolidated, broke these lows, start going up. And like, even if you want to reverse in terms of your pattern, consolidate here, broke the lows, and then start going up. And that's when you have enough liquidity to go up. So when we say break the lows or whatever, this is basically what we mean, right? For every single bit of structure in price, right? Even on the way down, right? Like here, you consolidate, broke the highs, came down, right? So typically when that happens, when it comes up, and then it, like for example, it consolidates in this area, we typically look for if it's going to go up or down first, and both of them could be essentially price going the opposite direction. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Yeah.
for the current market structure, I understand like it's bearish. So if
It's currently
I were
here.
to,
This is bearish,
yeah.
right?
So
Yeah,
I understand right now if I can't right now I can't take any trades because it's still consolidating. So I just have to wait out for 2046 and 2010, is it?
yeah, around these areas. But I would say in general, it's not like you can't take a trade. I just need more confirmations within here that we're not going to continue down or continue up if I'm taking a buy or sell, right? But if you can look at this in like the bigger picture, right? If you look at this, right? You consolidated in these areas after kind of you had this push, you retraced back into this area, consolidated, you came down first, didn't have enough liquidity, right? So you came up, grabbed the liquidity, then you were able to push past this low, come down, right? Then you started, consolidating in this overall area again, came up, grabbed liquidity, and now you're coming down, right? So again, what happened after this push, right? You retraced a little bit like this, you retraced a little bit. So where are you going to consolidate? It could be somewhere in this area. Like if you're going to consolidate here, that's fine as well. But the only issue is you're consolidating in a similar area to where you were previously, right? So in that case, is this the beginning of price, reversing? So if you come down, come back up to these areas, and then come down, breaking this, and then grabbing liquidity to continue up, right? So
Yeah.
to take the sell like these areas to come down is dangerous because you could push up to these areas first. And to take the buys to go up is also dangerous because overall you're bearish at the moment. So that's why we need those confirmations before anything can happen.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's all right. That's all right. See, Jacob, you see this? Like typically every time
I
the daily
noticed
opens,
that, but
every time the daily, I don't know what it is. It just fucking starts going up first.
Have you been have you been sample sizing that?
I've just been noticing, right? Because we streamed this, uh, and it
It
just,
might be worth just sort of sampling it.
I mean, it
What if
typically comes up like 10, 20 pips.
70% or something, and you just have 20, yeah, and you just take like
Yeah,
20 pips either side.
yeah, maybe, honestly. But like, I think the sample sizing for this needs to continue for multiple months because
Oh yeah.
if it like not even just like until like June or whatever, because I think it also depends on like what's happening in the world. Like maybe because of all the inflation stuff, that's why we typically start to come up first, right? But again, like for yesterday, what was the candle yesterday? It was around Thursday, Wednesday here, right? Started. No, this is 9 around these areas. Yeah, you just started coming up first, right? This was your first candle. This one, no bottom wick, started pushing up. That was the candle previous, and then for Wednesday AM. Which candle was this? What time was it? 2300. Yeah, for this one, look, you came up first, and then you started coming down, but then overall, you kind of went up, and then whatever. This was kind of mixed, right? But your initial 15-minute candle came up first. How many pips was that? Like 10. And then Tuesday, 2300. Again, this one opened up, started going up. You started pushing up first. Like that's the last 3 days already. This one on Monday. Well, this was a Sunday one, so I don't know. 2300. You started coming down, but then you started going up before coming down. So this was a bit of a mixed one as well. Yeah, like I'll continue to look out for it, but That's just what I've been seeing for the last couple of days. So people in the chat saying massive gap. Yeah, bro. How many pips is this? 5? Oh, this was about 10 pips. Huh. If I traded that on Nova, I'm pretty sure we've got -3 pips.
What with the extra high spread on open?
Exactly. Nah, no, just Nova spreads.
Yeah, well, but it's surely it's Nova plus that, right? So
Yeah,
might be a loss.
yeah. It probably was a loss. Probably lost like 20 pips on this. Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like last 3 4 days, it's just been doing this. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we can take it, but I guess it also depends on residual, like, because you're breaking the highs now, so you're probably gonna pump up at least towards like say 2031 of this range. Like, look at this. Like, why is this pushing up? No idea, but it is. See, you tap 2031 around these areas, right? Yeah, there you go. Market opened without a bottom wick. Yeah, typically the market just does that. Well, yeah, this is just what we've been seeing every single time. Market just gaps. Well, it doesn't gap, right? But it just starts pushing up first for most of the initial 15 minutes of the daily. And then it can do whatever it wants, right? But I mean, it might be worth it, Johnny, like, because if you're doing that high lot strategy, potentially having just like the stop loss on the break of the daily flip and just entering off the rip. If this turns out to be like an actual thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, so we'll continue to view, like, just kind of see how this plays out over time. We see, like, Jacob, this is what I was kind of talking about.
Holy, what the fuck? I wasn't even paying attention. I was on my phone.
Yeah, that suddenly just went up 26 pips
What the fuck?
on market open. Yeah, so you just closed off because there's a high chance that would happen.
And I think just like thought of mine, like even though you told me close half, it's still like good for me to know, like, okay, what if I have not, like, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the only issue, like, I wouldn't have told you to close half if you like kind of respected this overall area because you could have a stop loss around these areas and then it could still come down before it needs to go up. But it's just with the way market's been opening the last couple of days, there's a high chance you could open up first. And typically, when it does that, it's been pushing towards the next resistance, which is 2031. So after that, and if your stop was around 2031, like, yeah, you might as well close half at least to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm like, even if it hits stops here, I'm still gonna have the account, I think.
Yeah, you should be fine.
This time last year, that would not be the case, bro. The account would have been gone like at probably 2022.
Yeah, just before the first pineapple around these areas, it's already gone.
Probably before that, dog. I have
Yep.
screenshots like when I was first started buying fundings and like when I was trading crypto like a long time ago. That bro, I was popping like 100 lot,
Jesus.
literally. Literally, bro. Literally, bro.
You had enough margin from one pip stops. Like that's
It probably
mean.
was 100. I have to find screenshot, but it
Dude,
was definitely like over
he
it.
blows blows the account on spread.
Man, but like you've gone through it all, man. Legit.
Yeah, but yeah, after this funded, if I say I do lose it, I don't know if I'm gonna buy any more because this was the first funded I bought like a while, and it was really just because I was trying to like basically cheating it, but I was just gonna like if I'm being honest, but I don't know because I think I like trading my account more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the trade I took today, risking 2%, like it felt good.
Yeah. Honestly, on my own live as well, it's so nice to trade. Like, because you don't have all these restrictions. Like, you can do whatever you want. I can take a buy, then a sell, then another buy, and have all of those open. and then it closed like 10%, 20%, or whatever I want, whenever I want, and it's like, yeah, that's just my account, right? Whereas if you're doing a funded, it's just the thing is, yeah, I don't like.
You're thinking about like fucking five different things, wondering if you're good.
Yeah, then you have to calculate your stop, like, bro. But also, I think the main thing is like, I think after Nova, because they have like a limit on how much you can make, right? So if I do end up like,
Yeah, that too, bro.
yeah, if I, yeah, like, because you have a trailing drawdown. So if you start making money, so let's say you make 10%, your new drawdown.
I think Johnny knows that already, but they
Oh, you
actually
do?
have like a max like profit that you can make. Like I think once you make 6%, that's the most you can make,
Yeah,
and then you have to still get 50% of that.
yeah, exactly.
What? So you can only make 6%, and then what? You have to buy another account.
Yeah,
No, you just
you
stop.
do.
Yeah, basically, no, you get the account back, but you just that's all the profits you get. Like if you can trade more, but if you trade any more on there, like whatever you make, it's they're not gonna give you that. And then stops just got hit on that trade, but and then what was I saying? Oh, fucking stops.
How many pips did you save?
I
30.
closed. Yeah, that's good.
Did you save like 40 pips?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not
I
bad.
mean, on like a
I just
1.5.
drove 55 bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's price, man. No idea. That's the thing, like, because the way price closed, you came up first, right, for the day for yesterday. Then you came down um to tap around 2016, 2014 sorts of areas. So your next logical movement, right, is if you're in this overall range here, is once you come up, then down. If you're closing back into the range, you're probably gonna come up first too. Like as your residual momentum is probably coming up first. So with that, and also how the daily closed, being bullish, there's a high chance that you're going to gap up first or continue up first. At least towards around 2039, I would say, honestly, to fill the range, right?
Elvis, do you have
Yep.
any
So
analysis on NAS currently?
NAS. Oh, what is the actual thing on NAS? Oh, is it this one?
It's
Black Bull, Oanda probably.
pep, I think it's the Pepperstone one.
Pepperstone. Whoa. Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Oh wow, what the fuck monthly? Okay.
Oh, I thought that was the daily already. I was gonna say, wait, what?
Well,
I mean, you might as well go all in once you start. No, I'm just kidding.
it feels like it's the high.
I mean, that's pretty nice, man. Like your monthly also closed above the wick. You have this is what we wanted on gold, right? But we didn't get it. Um, weekly,
What
like it
does it
depends on
mean when it closes above the wick?
when it. So the wick is a range, right? So you still have a range between here and here. So similar to how gold was looking, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the monthly, if I just remove all of this, right? You have a range between here and here. So the fact that this bullish candle didn't close above this indicates it's respecting this range.
I see.
Yeah, so if we go back to NAS, right?
Yeah.
Uh, this one, like we've closed above this wick, right? And then now we also came down to have a very steep bottom wick. And then if it's a technical pair, I mean, I don't see any reason for price to not drive just based off of this monthly. Weekly, depending on how it closes, ideally it closes above here, right, on the weekly. Because you like if it was anywhere in these areas and you close here, came down bottom wick, we could have kept that wick fill around these areas. But once you close above here, like you're probably good to continue driving. My only issue is I don't know where you're gonna drive until
Yeah, there's no look to the left for this
because you only have until 2015, right? So I would honestly say you probably can't trade NAS for a while if it starts breaking all-time highs, man. With how the daily looks, you probably came down, right? Came down. If you're rejecting to come up, Honestly, once you start re-breaking this high, I don't know where you're gonna go because you don't know where it's gonna like stop at, right? Like, say you get into a buy here, where are you targeting? Like, no idea. I know my stops, right? Maybe around these areas or like wherever that logical stop is, but I have no idea where this is. So if it starts re-breaking those highs, it's going to be difficult. You maybe like, to be honest, you probably could have gotten into a swing trade around these areas, like around these areas, anywhere like here. Had your stop overall below here probably. Um,
Yeah, that would have been clean.
yeah, that would have been good because you have this massive close. So that would
It
have been
still looks pretty decent to go. I
good.
mean,
Yeah,
if
it's just I
if
no
it
idea.
closes above and then you take like break the highs or something.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do is just wait for this weekly to close, right? If your weekly closes above here, that's great, right? So what you could look for is a weekly close that's like this, above the range. You need a top wick, right? And your next candle, if it comes down towards these areas, I'd probably look for like a wick entry around like these sorts of areas. And then as it potentially, like, because you're looking for it to flip, right? As it's flipping, oops, wrong color. As it's flipping, you'll probably look to just kind of trail stops continuing up. So you initially get in like around, I would say around these areas, if possible, and then you have your stops below here or something, right? It's going to be more of a swing trade because you're going to trail your stops over time. But because you don't have any like levels, clear levels above here, you have no idea where it's going to drive to. So that's the difficult thing.
Yeah.
But it's looking clean to go up. Don't get me wrong. Like the monthly is looking like it's going to flip. Your weekly is closing strong bullish after a fake out, go back up. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, man. Gold,
Okay.
gold. It's right. It's right. He's still pushing on the daily. Yeah, like no idea. Anyways, guys, probably gonna end it around here. Um, anything else before we go?
Mm-mm.
Nah. What is the YouTube
What's the tip of the day for a newbie like me?
tip of the day? I mean, I know you asked a question on like you want to learn quick. I really wanted to learn quick when I was more a psychology thing. So like I really wanted to set myself a goal of being profitable like within like a couple months of starting trading because I was like, okay, so I'm not a dumb guy. I can probably do this, right? And then, you come in with the mindset that, yeah, I'm gonna make money and like, this trading is gonna be great as long as I know the skill. And it like a lot of people tell you, yeah, you have to focus on the skill of trading first. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna master the skill of trading. I ignored money for a while, but at the end of the day, why are you trading is the question you have to ask yourself. So, like, are you trading literally just for the money? And in that case, there's a high chance you're going to continue thinking about money along the way. Um, I think a good position that you're in, similar to me and like other people who are working, is you have a separate source of income. So trading is not your only way of making money, and that lack of dependency on that is definitely an advantage that a lot of people don't have. Um, but I would say that the tip there is probably just to like you'll feel it over time, but you just need to take it slow. There's no rushing trading. Chart experience will just take time because you can't like digest 20 years of chart experience in like 5 months. Because you need to watch the candles, you need to see how price is printing on a daily basis if you want to do day trading, right? So yeah, just try to not rush it as much. I know like all of us, we want to be profitable as soon as possible, right? But it is a process.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. 谢谢.
that's all right. That's all right. Um, right, cool guys. I'm gonna probably head off relatively soon. But cheers for joining up. And obviously this is the last day of the week, so I'll see you guys on Sunday. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna end it with YouTube live for a bit, but I'll see Zoom on Sunday.
Okay. Peace, boss. Yeah,
Great.
see you next week.
See you. Peace.
Yeah, see you, see you.
See you.
Yeah, so YouTube, I'm going to answer the rest of the questions since it is the last day of the week. Eddie, you lost your funded because of low drawdown, rapid challenge, so you had 3% max loss, went to 1% draw, hit the breach ever. Yeah, with funded, it's. I mean, they designed the funded in a way that tries to make you lose money, right? So honestly, losing a funded, like a lot of the times, you can't blame yourself. I would say you definitely can, to some extent, but you have to get used to how to trade a funded. You have to get used to, like trading with drawdown limits, with like a bunch of rules, right? So it's difficult. It's difficult. See today someone anyone who got greedy on the first trade lost whoever waited for the second. Yeah, bunch of market gap. Check news. Oh yeah, we didn't check news today. I think we have PPI at like the same time as today. Yeah, right. Sorry, CPI. No, that was today. Tomorrow we have 1:30 a.m. Oh, but this is Chinese. Oh, this one's yeah, like 1:30 p.m. Same time. Core PPI USD. So yeah, same news essentially. Um, can I do analysis on that gas? Maybe next week. I typically do analysis for the members who want it because they look at different pairs but normally I only do it for gold. Sometimes GJ, very rarely though. If we start trading GJ again, then yeah, I'll do a GJ analysis as well. Um, is it going to flip on the weekly? We don't know, right? Gold is pushing. I want to get in, man. I did not want to get in there. I'm not gonna lie. Did I buy Don's course to get to know, like, understand the market? Yes. So it's been a journey, but initially I was tuning into the streams. I was listening in for like a month or whatever, and then I bought his full course. At that time, it was like $500, and then after that, he was also doing this in person in Miami. And by that time, I kind of understood the overall idea of the strategy. But I went to Miami anyways to kind of just meet him in person. So went to Miami, flew out kind of just by myself, stayed in like this kind of hostel relatively nearby, so I could walk there, walk to school, kind of vibes. Um, but yeah, and then I met him, and then like we kind of started talking a little bit. I started helping out with more DVS related things, built the journal, and like more big things to come, right? But it's kind of taking that leap of faith. I think Wix was kind of talking about today during Don's stream that for example, going to Miami or like investing in the PAM or like all of those things, right? Yeah, but just in general, being able to tell yourself like, yeah, this is worth it, and justify that with proof that you're actually working hard to do this thing, or you trust Don to the extent where you're going to go out and fly out to see him. Right? Can I share ideas I learned from the Aussie Janez? Of course you can. It's good that you guys also learn from all the different streamers because everybody has a slightly different perspective, and hopefully the kind of convergence of all of those ideas is going to be the best of all of our analysis. Have to go all in. Which direction are you going all in? You just filled the top of the range. Are you going to reject? Who knows? We are going to create a wick. Which direction? I mean, the only way I can get into buys is if, price comes back down all the way to these areas, right? And then kind of consolidates somewhere. So like if it comes down, maybe like starts consolidating around these areas, and then probably break the lows to then come up and probably look for buys above here at that point. Be on the flip, yeah, I mean you could take that, but again, I would say today's also probably not one of those days you want to look for because out of all the days, I would say today you have the least chance of having a bottom wick on the daily. First of all, because your weekly needs to leave a bottom wick, so you may continue to retrace. You have news as well. News could push up, right, away from the BE point. And at the moment, you've closed back at the range. The first thing you're gonna do is probably fill the top of the range, right? So if you do that, I'm not saying it definitely will, right? If it does that, you're then hovering around this area, right? If you're hovering around this area, what's the chance that you're definitely going to come back down after you've struggled so much in this range already? You've then broken all lows just to come back into the range. Um, Me, but at the same time, you could argue there is a chance that you're going to come back in because you're in this range, but you're likely going to see this getting filled first before going up. When you go to work, do you have time to trade every day? Yeah. I mean, trading is not like a full time thing, right? Um, you just look at the charts when you need to look at the charts, and if you're in trade, you focus on the charts for like a couple minutes. When it's kind of finished, then yeah. 21st, 22nd December, all of these are you talking about? All of these going up. No bottom wick. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like, you don't know if today's candle's gonna have bottom wick after this massive rejection towards the very end of the day as well. Um, but you could also argue, like on the daily, you've closed within this range, so there's a high chance you're gonna come down. But I think it's a high risk play. I'll put it like that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the streams, guys. Thank you very much for joining this week. For everybody who's stuck with us, we hit 50 concurrent viewers today. It's pretty good for our first week back. Again, we're gonna see each other for the rest of the year. 2024 is gonna be a good year. This is just the first week, right? But I'll hopefully see you all again on Sunday. We will be back. Sunday is a full session for everyone, and then Monday is the member zone. But yeah, so hopefully we'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a good rest of the evening and a good weekend. Peace out.